She didn't knock. I heard chains first. Then the tow truck jerked my car like it was trash. I ran outside barefoot and she was already yelling, phone up, smiling. HOA order. You're done here, she said loud enough for the street. I told her to stop, that this was my driveway. She laughed and pointed at a paper taped to my door. Fake seal, fake rules. You don't belong in this neighborhood, she said like she owned the ground. My daughter stood behind me holding her school bag, confused, scared. The driver shrugged and kept working. Karen leaned closer and whispered, "If you touch him, I'll say you attacked me." That's when the tow truck pulled away with my car, and the whole block watched. I stayed calm, even when my kid asked why they were taking our car. Karen dialed again and said, "Yes, officer. He's aggressive." No officer showed up, just two guys in dark uniforms I had never seen before. No badges I recognized. One of them told me to step back from my own house. Karen crossed her arms, proud. "I warned you," she said. My hands were shaking, not from fear, from timing. I looked at the fake cops, then at Karen, and finally at the quiet street behind them. Down the road, something heavy was moving. The ground gave a slow, deep rumble. Karen smirked and said, "What now?" I smiled for the first time and said, "You really shouldn't have touched my property." The rumble got louder. Slow metal, impossible to miss. Karen turned, annoyed at first, then confused. Neighbors came out, phones up. The fake cops shifted their feet like they suddenly remembered somewhere else to be. From the end of the street, a massive shape rolled into view. Tracks, steel, faded green paint. A 25-ton tank crawled forward and stopped right in front of my house. The engine growled, then went silent. Karen's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "You can't do that," she finally said, voice thin. I said nothing. The hatch opened and a uniformed officer climbed out, calm, sharp eyes. He looked at me and nodded once. Then he looked at Karen and asked, "Ma'am, why are you standing on restricted land?" She laughed, nervous now. "This is an HOA street," she said fast. "He's violating rules. I already called police." The officer didn't even look at her papers. He pointed at the ground. "This parcel is federal lease land. Temporary civilian use under my name." Karen froze. One of the fake cops took a step back. The officer turned to them. "And you two, show me your credentials." Silence. One tried to talk. The other ran. Karen backed up, shaking her head. "This isn't right." "I run this block." The officer raised his radio and said, one line that made the whole street go quiet. "Send county units. We have impersonation and illegal seizure in progress," Karen screamed. "This isn't over!" The officer looked at her and said, "It actually is. You just picked the wrong driveway. Real police arrive fast. Not sirens, authority. The kind that doesn't rush." Karen tried to talk over everyone, waving her HOA papers like they were gold. An officer took them, read one line, and handed them back. "These aren't worth anything," he said. Her face went red. She pointed at me and shouted, "He brought a tank into a residential street." One officer looked at the tank, then at the uniformed man, then back at her. "Ma'am, that vehicle is cleared." "Your tow order isn't." That's when it got worse for her. The tow driver was stopped 2 blocks away. Police pulled footage from his dash cam. My security camera showed Karen taping the fake notice on my door that morning. Another clip showed her paying the fake cops in cash. Neighbors started whispering. Phones were everywhere now. Karen tried to walk away. An officer stepped in front of her. "You're not leaving." She laughed again, shaky. "For what?" He said, "False report, trespassing, impersonation, theft." She snapped. "Do you know who I am?" She yelled. The officer replied, calm, "Someone who towed the wrong man's car." I finally spoke. I told them I was a reservist assigned to equipment testing on this land. Temporary housing, all legal, all documented. Karen stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. The fake cops were in cuffs. The tow truck was ordered to bring my car back. As they led Karen toward the cruiser, she screamed at the crowd, "He tricked you all!" I looked at my daughter, still holding her bag, still quiet. I said the line that made the street go silent. "I didn't trick anyone." "You just thought power meant paper. They put her in the back seat." Still talking, still trying to sound important. The door shut and the sound felt final. My car came back scratched but safe. An officer apologized to my daughter and gave her a small badge sticker. She smiled for the first time that day. Neighbors started asking questions now, softer voices, different tone. The same people who watched earlier now wanted to say sorry without saying it. Then another twist hit. A county official pulled up, sharp suit, no smile. He asked for Karen by name. Turns out this wasn't her first time. Multiple streets, fake fines, illegal tows, quiet cash. The HOA wasn't even active anymore. She'd been using the name to scare people out and flip homes cheap. Phones went higher. Someone whispered, "She did this to my brother." Someone else said, "My mom lost her car too." The official looked at me and said, "We'll need a statement." I nodded. The tank engine started again, low and steady. Karen kicked the car door from inside. Too late. The crowd didn't look at her anymore. They looked at the ground she claimed to own. That night, the street felt different, quieter, safer. I tucked my daughter into bed and she asked, "Are they gone?" I said yes. I stood outside once more, hand on the fence. The tank sat silent under the lights. Freedom isn't loud, but when it shows up, everyone feels it. Morning came with knocks on my door. Not angry ones. Neighbors brought coffee, donuts, quiet apologies. One man said, "She fined me for my flag." Another woman whispered, "She said my husband wasn't allowed here." Same pattern, same fear. I recorded statements while my daughter played on the porch, finally laughing again. That's when a black SUV stopped hard at the curb. Two men stepped out. Clean suits, federal badges. They didn't look at the house first. They looked at the tank. One asked me calm, "Mind if we talk?" He told me Karen wasn't just an HOA bully. She had been selling access. Letting contractors in, blocking inspectors. All illegal. She thought no one important lived here. I signed one more paper. He nodded and said, "You just cracked her whole operation." By afternoon, news vans showed up. Karen's name was everywhere. Mugshot, charges, fraud. The same woman who said, "I didn't belong," now needed a lawyer. A reporter asked me why I stayed calm. I looked at my driveway and said one line that stuck, "Real power doesn't yell, it waits." The camera kept rolling as the tank was loaded for transport. Kids waved. Flags came out. That night, the street held a small cookout. No HOA, no rules taped to doors, just people. I watched my daughter ride her bike in circles free, and I knew something Karen never did. When you judge the wrong person, the truth rolls in heavy just when it felt finished. It wasn't. 2 days later, my phone rang at night. Unknown number. A calm voice said, "You should check your mailbox." I stepped outside. Inside was a legal notice, filed under my name. Someone had reported the tank as a stolen military asset. False claim. Serious charge. I smiled slowly. Only one person would try that. By morning, investigators were already at my door. This time I invited them in. Coffee, files, footage, signed orders. One of them paused and said, "You know she filed this from county jail?" That's when the real twist landed. Karen had access to staff emails before she was arrested. She'd been inside the system longer than anyone knew. But she rushed it, sloppy, left trails. That afternoon, I walked into the station, not as a suspect, but as a witness. They played her recorded jail call, her voice shaking, angry. "If I go down, I'll drag him with me." The room went quiet. An officer clicked stop and said, "That's obstruction." More charges, longer time. When I stepped outside, my daughter ran to me. "Are we safe now?" she asked. I knelt and said yes. Behind us, an officer said something I won't forget. She thought authority was loud. Real authority is patient. The sun hit the street just right. Same houses, same road, different power. The last twist came when I wasn't even there. A week later, court day. I sat in the back, quiet. Karen walked in wearing confidence like armor. She pointed at me and told the judge I planned everything. Said the tank was a threat. Said I scared the neighborhood on purpose. Her voice was loud, but empty. Then her own lawyer froze. The judge stopped him and said, "We already reviewed the evidence." Screens turned on. Video after video. Her taping notices. Paying fake cops. Audio from her jail call. Bank records. Even messages where she bragged. "People move when I say move." The room felt heavy. Karen's face dropped. She tried to speak. The judge raised one finger. Silence. The ruling was fast. No drama, no yelling. Charges stacked. Bail denied. Restitution ordered. Public apology required. When they took her away, she looked at me one last time. No anger now, just shock. Like she finally understood she never had power at all. Outside, reporters waited. I didn't stop. I went home instead. That night, I parked my car in my driveway and sat there for a minute. Same place she said I didn't belong. Same ground. I whispered the line my father taught me long ago. Land doesn't choose sides. People do. The street never went back to how it was. It went better. The fake HOA signs disappeared. Fences came down. People waved again. Months later, a small plaque was placed near the entrance. Simple words about property rights and community respect. No names, no drama, just truth. My daughter asked why it was there. I told her so people remember. The tank was long gone, but its echo stayed. Not fear, balance. New families moved in. No one yelled orders anymore. Rules were posted the right way, legally, quietly. One evening, I sat on my porch as the sun dropped low. A neighbor walked by and said, "Funny how one person tried to control everything and lost it all." I looked at my driveway, empty and peaceful. Karen wanted power. What she found was exposure. She judged the wrong house, the wrong father, the wrong land. And in doing that, she reminded everyone why freedom matters here. I stood up, turned off the porch light, and said the last line out loud just to myself. You can tow a car, but you can't tow someone's rights. Late one night, just when I thought it was finally over, my phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. My heart skipped a beat. Had Karen somehow returned? The message was simple. Check the mailbox. Last chance. I went outside cautiously. Inside was a small envelope, nothing official looking. I opened it. A single USB drive. Curiosity 1. I plugged it into my laptop. Videos, not of me this time, of Karen. Footage showing her plotting similar scams in other neighborhoods, showing fake documents, bribing others, practicing her authoritative tone. My eyes widened. She wasn't finished. She was building a network. The same system she tried to exploit on me was bigger than I thought. I called the federal contacts who had helped before. They paused, then said, "This is the evidence we needed to shut her down." Completely. Relief and tension mixed. I realized the street had survived her, but other places were still at risk. And now I held the key. My daughter peeked over my shoulder. I smiled and whispered, "Even when someone thinks they're untouchable, the truth always finds them." This wasn't just the end, it was the start of a cleanup that would make Karen's name infamous forever. Perfect. The story reaches its conclusion here. Karen's schemes are fully exposed, justice is served, and the underdog hero secures not only his family and property, but also the safety of the broader community. The ending ties together all twists, gives emotional closure, and leaves a lasting message about truth, authority, and freedom.